It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Gentlemen, it's a dumb football questions edition here of the O-Line Committee. A part 2 of our Week 5 recap. We did a bunch of mics. It got spicy. And there's just too much content from a crazy Week 5 in the National Football League.
I love the National Football League so much, dude. It's just every week you're like, who's going to screw it up this week? What teams? The Jaguars haven't won a game. Let's watch Joe Flacco go up and down the field on these boys. I love it. I mean, Boone told me you guys talked about it when I was gone. Joe Flacco's a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson.
We brought that up.
Well,
he's phenomenal.
He's not.
I think they would agree too.
I don't think he's
Richardson is a theory, but he's not. He can't hit a 12-yard out. Like
obviously, Anthony Richardson's talented out the ass, but Joe Flacco is the more complete quarterback on that team right now.
Hey, no offense, the guy won a Super Bowl, and at one point was like the highest paid quarterback. Like, are we all surprised? I'm not.
He's still elite.
Have you seen a video with him? He's like, yeah, whatever.
He's the dad. He's the dad of the NFL.
The video where
doing my thing.
All he's missing is a marble red.
I'm telling you, dude, he is so fun to watch. And every time I see him like on a team, I'm like, I kind of want to root for them. And I think at some point Anthony Richardson could take a few pointers from him. Like, hey, let's just be a little calmer in the pocket. We don't need to throw the 50-50 ball. And why are we running into dudes still? Like at some point, there's a lot that could be learned from that 45-year-old. I think he's having a better.
I can envision, you get to the facility at 5:30 in the morning. You show up, and Joe Flacco has been there, just sitting at the cafeteria table, reading the old school newspaper with like a robe on, just going through the stories of the day.
Hey, did you read?
He's already had a steam.
He's fresh shave.
Fresh shave. Had a steam.
How are you talking about? I'm ready to roll.
All right, I got some dumb football questions for you. A couple from me, and then we'll turn to the audience here. And you guys can always submit your dumb football questions in the O-Line Committee YouTube comment section. Keep them coming here. So let's start with this one. And this is kind of a dumb football question wrapped up into a hot take all in one. Are the Washington Commanders on the verge of controlling the NFC East for the next 8 to 10 years, more often than not?
That's a long stretch, Mackey. That's a long
5 years, 5 to 6 years.
That's a long stretch, Mackey.
I'll say yes. And Jayden Daniels' rookie contract. I think in Jayden Daniels' rookie contract, and you can build up around him, he is as good as advertised. I mean, I remember watching him at Arizona State. I remember watching him at LSU. Coming out of the draft, you're like, this man is so special. He's so good. The question was, can he throw the deep ball? And in the last 2 weeks, dude's been dropping dots.
Scary Terry.
I mean, Terry drops that one in the end zone that was absolutely put into the breadbasket by Jayden Daniels. And then when things escape, he just looks like Lamar Jackson out there. I'll just take off. I'll just take off for another 10, 15 yards and run out of bounds. He's done a good job about not getting hit. And, I think he's on the trajectory to be the next Lamar Jackson type. I may say that I think he has a more accurate arm than Lamar Jackson at this age.
Yeah.
When Lamar was a rookie and when Lamar's in his first 2 years, I think he was more looked at as a runner and could throw it. But I think Jayden is a more polished passer as a rookie than Lamar Jackson was and is equally as talented as a runner.
He currently leads the NFL in completion percentage of
ridiculous,
not just rookies, all quarterbacks. 77%
This was like the
percentage.
first punt in the last 4 games this year.
No, it was the first punt in the first drive. Like, that's why they were like, well, there's
no, just the first. He's led like 19
I could have
scoring
sworn last
drives
week
in
they
a row.
punted a couple times, but then this week it was like the first drive they got stopped.
Tressway's an all-pro punter just sitting there like, I guess I'll just
pay me to do nothing.
Do a lot of
I always
holds.
wondered that. If you didn't have to kick the ball, do you take a shower after the game? I was wondering that. I was like, do you think he takes a shower? Or do you think he just gets dressed?
Would you?
I mean, you guys didn't even need me. But I didn't even sweat. I'm good.
Jersey's perfectly clean,
Right.
still pressed.
Nah, babe, I'm fine. I
No
got out
swamp
completely
ass,
unscathed.
nothing.
But yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn, a lot of question marks on could he coach it still? Does he still have it? I mean, I think he's done a great job turning that roster around. There's not a ton of superstar talent on that defense, in my opinion, and they're just playing really good complementary football all the way across the board on the defense. And now all of a sudden, when you have a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, guess what? You're a free agent destination. I mean,
What's their cap situation?
They've got a ton of cap room.
Ton.
So they're sitting for next year. They're sitting on $100 million in effective cap space.
Then yeah, Mackey, I think they take over for the next 10 years. I forgot they have a ton of cap space.
Space.
Everyone's gonna look at this rookie.
There's no superstar quarterback. There's no superstar max contracts.
Devontae Adams isn't going to the Jets. He's going to Washington. He's going to be like, put me over there. That's where I want to go. I mean, dude, I agree with you now, and I guess that's a huge turning point. Is how much money do you have to spend? But when I was watching him escape pressure that one time that he like completely ran around the guy, I was like, that was too easy. That was way too fucking. And then he takes off for like 20 yards, and I was like, okay. And not to say that Cleveland is anything arousing right now because they are disgusting at best. But defensively, like you look at Myles Garrett and you look at these guys and you're like, yeah, this could be a test, and it was a blowout. Like they just fucking spanked them, and it was one of these things where you're like, this is Washington. This was the same Washington. Wait a minute, hold. Like, dude, they're showing the owner after the game on the sideline, and I'm like, this dude just inherited the greatest franchise ever. You picked the perfect, but you know why? You didn't see anybody's wife in there talking to him, like, we should draft this guy, honey. They were in there like, yo, let's go with Jayden Daniels. We love this guy from the beginning. Let's just roll. And Jay, you and I both watched this tape last year because we had to watch LSU film. And it was one of those things where we talked about, he took some hits, but he fucking delivered. And it's like, if you can do this at the next level, and I think we see so many quarterbacks that can't do it that we're just so like, I don't know, can he do it? But now you're like, oh, yeah, no, he can do it. And defensively, they've gotten better over the last 2 weeks. They weren't the best, but as they get better and as you have these wins, then you just build more momentum.
Well, any defense growing. Any defense is going to love it when they can play from a lead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, any defense in the NFL can be built to rush the passer. Like you got a 2-score lead on just about any defense in the league. They're pinning their ears back and like, oh gosh, here we go. And so they've done a lot of that. But Jayden Daniels, man, if you're a free agent receiver or a free agent tight end, it used to be like, I don't want to go to Commanders and have Sam Howell throwing me the football or Jacoby Brissett or name a quarterback that's been there in the last 10 years that you're like, I don't
Taylor
want to do
Heineke.
This.
Yeah.
But now you're going, do I want to have this young cat spreading the ball and throwing it to me? Do I want to have a young quarterback on a rookie deal that might be able to lead us to a Super Bowl? That's a free agent destination, and they're going to have some big-time free agents coming there in March.
It's it's easier said than done because if you have bad ownership, it's just checkmate. And there's a couple franchises right now that are finding that out. But if you can get great ownership, or in the case of Washington, we don't even know if they have great ownership now. They just don't have Daniel Snyder ownership. So just a non-train wreck owner that just kind of stays out of the way or hires some smart people, a smart front office that can nail a young quarterback and some other talent, and then a great leader at head coach. Dan Quinn has been to a Super Bowl. You can flip the switch in 2 years, and all of a sudden now you are the best team for the next 5 years in a division. It's probably a little early on that, but
no, you're right, dude. They have money. That's the number one thing.
What does Dallas not have?
Money. You can do whatever you want when you have the money. You can bring in anybody you want. You can entice everybody. And if you're winning and you have a good culture and all of a sudden everyone's like, well, they're rebranding over there because, for years people are like, do I want to go to Washington? I don't know if I want to. Now everyone's like, yeah, I do. I don't give a shit. I want to be a part of this team. Like I want, especially because you look at the division, right? Like I'm not saying that Dallas is on its way down, but last night's game was a little eye-opening when you're like, dude, the Steelers just have a defense. Like, what are we doing over here? And at some point out.
I mean, to be fair, Dallas's entire team is hurt.
Once again, how many times did anyone give a shit when our teams were hurt? Was
no
anyone
one cares.
Like,
but that's why I'm not ready to write Dallas off. Just write them off into the sunset just yet.
Can I give you my favorite Dallas Cowboys thing that I saw on the season? So it's week 5, and Dallas had their first 12-yard run of the season on the ground. Rico
Dowdell.
Literally, like they had not had, in a month and a half, they had not had a 12-yard rush at all.
Hey, listen, do you want to know what sums up their night last night? And I hate to say this, but Cam Hayward, I don't know if anyone saw this. Did you see that bull rush he hit the center with? He hit him, Cooper Beebe, with the longest long arm that I've ever seen, and it took him right back into Dak. And I was like, this is the season. This is what we're doing. Like, we went from one of the most premier offensive lines, like guys that we used to watch their tape all the time, to be like, let's go watch some great games. Let's go watch and see what the best do. Like you would turn the and now Tyler Guyton's hurt. You talk about just they're dealing with so many injuries. Yeah, I'm getting ready to start to write off the Cowboys. They didn't do anything in free agency this year either. It was one of those things where it was like they were content and everybody was like, you should not be. This is, dude, like even look at, you said it, the Giants. They're making a turning point. Like teams that have started to stumble are starting to figure themselves out a little bit, which is good. But at the same point, like last night's game ended with 30 seconds. And it was on a 4th down. And had that dude not been out there, because I think, and I'm almost positive, and I'm not going to say this for sure, but I think Dak threw the ball at his dick. I think that's why he was down. Because he was on the ground like my dick hurts so bad, but Dak misplaced that ball so bad. I think it's
good thing it wasn't the spear in this
Dude,
case.
it would have fucking. But then the refs were
him.
like, no, you got to leave. And then they called a timeout. And then all of a sudden he's back on the field and he's scoring the touchdown. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think that's how that works. But okay. I'm just saying. I mean, dude, Washington is in an exciting place. And then you talk about what's going on at Philly. Like their whole up and down mess right now. And then at the same time, like the Giants, like I get that they're turning a corner, but they don't scare me yet. And then you look at this Washington team and you're like, shit, if you can't contain this dude and he can just run all over the place and throw the ball, like you said, Jay, big question mark. Can he throw the deep ball? Dude, Scary Terry's like, I'm here. I might drop it once or twice, but I'm going to be right underneath that ball. It's fun to watch. And Cliff Kingsbury too, like totally resurgence of his career. Like, for years, like what's going on with this? Now all of a sudden we're like, holy shit, this offense is crushing shit. Like these two have a great chemistry together. It's a lot of fun, dude.
Robinson's an underrated back in the league, too.
Agreed.
Very underrated back in the league.
Yeah, we did a film breakdown. I think it was when you were out hunting elk with your bare hands a couple weeks ago, Jay.
Mountain man.
Of Robinson, like blitz pickups, even just sticking his nose in. Here, just kind of piggyback. This is from a listener here in the YouTube comment section from Palmer Puff Daddy, a dumb football question.
Well, I like that.
And he kind of, the question references the 4 teams that Jay played for, the Chargers, Bills, Vikings, Panthers. But I want to take his question and broaden it out. Which NFL team do you think is most deserving of high-end success right now, based on their history or however you want to interpret that? You mentioned like the Browns for me feel like everyone's just desperately waiting for a legal loophole to get rid of that contract for Deshaun Watson. The Commanders went through 25 years of Dan Snyder hell. You know, the Lions 50 years of nothingness.
You know, I'm going to say, and this might be after the 28-3 debacle in Atlanta. I think Atlanta, Desmond Ridder trying to figure it out, going through head coaching changes. I think Atlanta is the one that I'm looking at going, you guys deserve to go out and do some really fun stuff this year and maybe go have long-term success. You put all in on the quarterback. It's working for you right now. You make the trade for Judon. Like, you've got Bijan Robinson, who's one of the most exciting running backs in the league. You pair him with Tyler Algier. You got the stalwart left tackle and Jake Matthews. I'm going to say the Falcons. I think the Falcons are a team that I'm looking at going, you guys deserve the tides to turn. You've had some bad luck, had some issues. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
That's probably the team that of all the Super Bowl losers, like got the closest mentally and emotionally to celebrating a Super Bowl championship.
To holding that Lombardi
actually,
up to just go in and be like,
the confetti was
oh,
almost coming down at halftime.
yeah, they were loading the cannons at halftime.
Loaded.
It's like I saw
loaded.
There was in the first round of the baseball playoffs. If you guys saw the Mets hit a 3-run homer in the 9th to clinch a wild card series, and they had video of the clubhouse keepers or whatever taking the champagne and the beer out of the Brewers clubhouse, rolling it down the hallway. That was probably happening for
Guaranteed.
that Falcons.
So I'll
Patriots.
say Falcons.
What are you, Booney?
I'm Brownies all the way, dude. I just want them to have success. It's been so long.
You're a homer too, though.
I am, dude. I'm sorry. I went back home, and everybody looked at me like, "You seeing this?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't believe you guys are dealing with this shit." And they're like, "It's insane." I feel so bad, man. The Cleveland fans are the greatest fans in the world, and they just get fucked over every year. And I'm not gonna lie, it's the owner. He just doesn't know what he's doing. I don't really care what anyone thinks. I mean, quarterback's a mess. The whole situation's a mess. Kevin Stefanski's going to get thrown under the bus on this one. It's just going to be rough.
So they're the same thing they always do. They're going to fire Stefanski.
Which is fucking bullshit because it's not his fault.
He's a good coach.
He's a great dude
coach.
too, man. I'm telling you, if you met Kev, you would love him. He is so down to earth, chill, and he's just got stuck with this quarterback that can't throw a ball to save his fucking life or do anything but take a sack. And it's like, this is not the offense that we wanted. This is not what we envisioned when we came to Cleveland. And not only that, but I know that everybody in Cleveland's super frustrated about it because they're like, dude, we just want to win some games, and we don't want to look like a fucking travesty out here. You got the dog pound going crazy. I used to know the guy in the dog pound that dressed up as the dog. Like, dude, Cleveland's insane, man. I feel bad for him because, dude, they're in a division where the Steelers are playing competitive football with a fucking monstrous defense, right? And then the Ravens are starting to get lit up, and all of a sudden you see the Bengals can put up a ton of points all the time. Like, it's like they have 0% chance of doing anything this year, and you know the fans are driving them nuts.
On the Cleveland front, do we think that Deshaun quit on the team, or do you think it's because they actually had 12 men in the huddle that Deshaun walked to the sideline when Stefanski wanted to go for it on 4th down?
That was weird because no matter what, it's a penalty, right? Like
Listen,
they can't.
I'm going to say this. I've never seen a dude quit. I've never, ever seen a dude come out there and be like, no, we're not doing that. Like, just, I've never seen it because at the end of the day, you know you're do what you're told. So if that's true, insubordination for sure. You're getting cut. Like, dude, and I'm going to go
getting cut. You're not.
No,
you can't.
I don't
you cannot cut him.
Guess what?
He's
I'm a
uncuttable.
billionaire. I'm a billionaire. I'm going to find a fucking way. We said that at the NFLPA. We'd be like, they're smart. They're billionaires. They have lots of people that work for them. Don't ever think that you have them. Never lock yourself into a you're fucked because, dude, they're going to find money somewhere. I'm telling you, this is Cleveland. No, I don't think you understand, Jay. Cleveland is I'm not kidding you. I landed at Cleveland Hopkins Airport and 10 people came up to me like, "Do you see this shit?" I was like, "I'm so sorry." They're like,
but Booney, like they can't. You could. I mean, you could cut them if you want to, but like you can't. Like that cap. The cap hit is what it is. They're just they're stuck.
You
with
guys,
this financial
we keep saying
disaster.
The same thing. We think the owners are never going to win, and then they always turn around and we're like, "How do they win?"
They didn't. This is an L. This is in the L column through and through.
They'll find a way out. They have to.
Well, they
Kevin
could find a way out
Stefanski's
if he. Because I believe there could be. I mean, with this
I don't know
newest
if that's
legal
true
situation,
or not. You never even know. I'm not even going to get into that.
But it is.
It's the only way out.
My answer on this was. I mean, the Browns are a great answer. A lot of it's self-inflicted with a bad ownership. The Commanders, I could state my case for the greatest team to never win a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to. The Minnesota Vikings, the Lions, man. And I tell our Purple Daily audience, Packers, rivals, Bears, they're rivals. The Lions, I don't mind the Lions as a Vikings podcaster.
It's funny you say that because we hated them and they hated us a lot.
That's fine.
Like they really, really hated it. And we hated them.
But they're dude, they're tough. Oh, yeah. I know that sometimes I think Vikings fans would say, well, they cross a line with some of the hits, the kneecap.
I agree
stuff,
with that.
TJ
I do. I agree with that 100%. I think their defense goes a little too
love it.
And that's fair. But they literally did nothing for 50 or 60 years. They made the playoffs maybe 3 or 4 times.
I got a phone call, boys. I'll be right back.
Oh, agent stuff here.
Don't take my brownies away from this.
But yeah, your Browns, it's just a mess. It's too bad. Those fans, I agree, man. Those fans, they stick with that team.
They're so badass, dude. I love all of them.
And they've done it for years. Let's see what else we got. Let's go to so Hickory77 is the one that answered your challenge, and he sends in. Maybe we'll just plow through a few of these. We'll get Jay back in when he's done doing.
Let's just get through them before Jay gets here.
Oh no, he's here.
Oh, he's here.
Solicitor. Okay. I have to answer every call. Never know. You never know. Random numbers come in. Got to answer.
Do you answer the ones that say spam likely?
Yes. Because I've actually missed a call from someone that said spam likely and it was a team. So I was like, nope, every call.
Dude,
I'm going to start calling Jay from payphones.
You're probably like, hey, this is Jeremiah Sirles. And they're like, we've noticed some hail damage on your roof.
Yeah. No, the one's always, we've noticed you have some back tax relief. Then it's like, oh my gosh, go away. Goodbye.
Oh, get out of here. So Hickory77 in the YouTube comment section says, Alex asked for some juicier questions on dumb football questions. So we'll start with this one. You guys can plead the fifth, whatever you want. How much of a problem are family and friends asking for things, money or tickets all the time when you're in the NFL, and how do you deal with it?
Booney, you've got fun family drama. You go ahead.
No, I honestly, I didn't mind it. They only came to close games. They didn't really bother me about that kind of stuff. I think that maybe the Super Bowl got a little hectic because so many people wanted to go, but it wasn't really like that a lot with me, which was great. But I had teammates that were every which way, dude. And I remember Justin Smith when I was young. Remember I told you I used to sit with Justin at lunch because he had the greatest wise words of all time, and he would just sit there and be like, listen, if they're asking you for money, the answer's fucking no. And I was like, but that's like, what? And he was like, dude, if you don't say no now, you'll never be able to. And if you don't say no now, they'll take you broke. And I remember so many of my teammates would have so many people come out to every game or go travel to every game. And you'd be like, dude, this is just wasted money. Like, my wife never went to an away game, ever. Where the fuck would you go to an away game? You want to come to a home game? Sure, come on. But, like, an away game, that's silly. And there were a ton of guys that spent money on all that shit. And I knew guys that spent money on – I knew a guy that bought 4 or 5 cars, maybe 6, as soon as he got drafted for all of his family members. And it was like, dude, there's such a misconception that once you get in, you're going to stay in. Like, oh, they love me. And you're like, dude, it doesn't work like that. Please stop. You're spending way too much money.
I saw it a lot of. It's the mentality for some of these guys is it's not I made it, it's we made it.
Yeah.
And if you fall into the we made it category, it's exactly like Boone said. They think the train will never stop. The craziest thing I ever saw, and I know a guy spent over $100,000 one year on tickets. Because he had his whole gang used to come to every single game. $100,000 on tickets alone. Because everyone thinks you don't get free tickets in the NFL.
No.
In college, you get free tickets. As a player, you're buying every single ticket that you have for players that come to a game. Then they're not cheap. I mean, they're $175 to $200 a ticket. And then, so that's another one. Then the other one, I'm not going to say his name. There was a player on the Chargers who I witnessed a fight between wife and girlfriend in the post-game parking lot because he allowed both
Phillip
of them.
Rivers.
He allowed both of
dang
them to come to the game.
Right.
And he was mad at the ticket person because he would always tell the ticket person to separate them on the field. Like, hey, one sits over here, one sits over here, and only this one gets the post-game passes. Well, one time they both got post-game passes, and it was an all-out brawl in the parking lot between wife and girlfriend.
So wife
was
bad. Wife probably didn't know about girlfriend's existence.
I don't know. I would, maybe they did, and maybe
girlfriend
it was just
may have.
Maybe girlfriend knew, and maybe girlfriend wanted to be wifey. I don't know, but dude, it was bad. It was bad.
What did security do?
They just threw both out, and eventually the player had to come out and be like, "This is not okay. I'm going home with one of them." I don't remember which one he went home with, but I can remember. I remember all of a sudden the next day we're like, "Are you an idiot? Like, are you literally dumb?" And he's like, dude, I thought the ticket guy would separate them, but it's like, no, that's beyond the point.
You can't rely. First of all, yeah,
that's beyond. Like, you can't. No, don't damn ticket guy. This is your fault for having both, and B, saying that they can both come to the game. Oh, it was unbelievable. Dude. It was unbelievable.
When I was like, this is probably 20 years ago now, and I was producing a nighttime local radio show in Minneapolis. And we had Rashad McCants was a former Timberwolves player. He was like North Carolina and then a couple of years in the NBA. And he would come in studio on Friday nights and he would talk to us off microphone. And he explained one time the skank ladder in the NBA and how a lot of times it's just kind of wide open and known. Even like your wife knows that you have a girlfriend and then you have other friends on the road in different cities. And then you've got your random hookups. And it's just kind of a widely known system in the NBA but then like the travel coordinators have to figure out how to get them all in the.
I can tell you that it's not
sections.
like that in the NFL. You're on your own. You do dumb shit, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not backing you because I have a wife right out there who gave me angry eyes like 5 minutes ago that I'm probably not on my way to pick up kids. But at the same time, I heard a funny story one time. And it was from, I can't tell you who told me, but it was one of my coach's wives. And he was a very high coach. And she was telling us about how they used to do church group back in the day. And somebody accidentally invited his wife and his girlfriend. And
church group?
Both showed up to the church group. And the player showed
Church
up.
group?
And they were both like, excuse me. And she was like, in the middle of the church group, we were throwing down. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. And she goes, I swear to God, honey. She goes, please. Don't ever do that to your wife. I was like, nah, I'm good. I am. You'll never see me again. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
This isn't even in the joke.
6 feet under.
Dude, done. And that's why, like, and that's probably one of the hardest things is when you see guys do dumb shit like that and you're like, all right, this goes in the vault to never be talked about again. And, dude, there's things up in the vault that you're like, Never. I'll take to my grave because it'll just make me look way worse. Like, you've been keeping that secret? What else you been keeping in there? Like,
Yeah.
No, babe, you don't understand. This is so that he doesn't kill me, right? Or his wife come back and kill me.
Yeah, I mean, the multiple phones, leaving one phone at the facility, forgetting it and bringing your phone home one time. I had that happen to a guy. He's like, dude, I brought the wrong phone home. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I brought the bat phone home. And all of a sudden, Domino's is calling me. And my wife's like, why is Domino's calling you? Right? Because he used to put the girls in his phone as pizza places. Domino's,
Papa
Pizza Hut,
John's.
Papa John's. Like, they were in his phone. And like one time he told me, he's like, yeah, dude, this chick called me last night. My wife was like, Domino's is calling you? It's like, yeah, it was bad. I didn't know. I had to talk my way out of that one. I was like, you're making this way too hard on yourself.
Way too
Why
hard.
not have them as teammates' names or something? Like, wouldn't that be? I don't know.
No.
Talk about, dude, did you imagine you had your teammate's name and all of a sudden you're getting a call like, hey
Luke Kuechly's calling. Philip Rivers.
yeah.
What's he calling for? Isn't
Is
he?
that Philip Rivers calling you? Isn't he in bed at 9 o'clock?
It's 11:30 on a Friday. Why is he asking you if you're up?
The
Why does
worst is if-
Pizza want to
hey.
know if you're up?
Imagine if she made you answer it on speaker.
Yeah.
Like, hello?
Hey, baby. No, I just want a large
It's
pepperoni.
Jake from State Farm. One more from Hickory 77, and then we can let Alex go pick up kids here. How often did or do people pick fights with you as an offensive lineman and a
like
large
in the
human
public?
being?
All the
Yeah.
time.
I don't know if anyone's ever picked a fight
You're
with
at
me.
Cowboy Slim's downtown Minneapolis after a football
Different.
game.
Guaranteed to start a fight there every night.
that was a given.
You weren't there when we talked about that, Jay, and there's so many memories. Like, you ever take a picture in your head and you're like, I'll never forget this moment? There were so many times we were there on the rooftop. I was like, I'm going to take a picture right now. I'll never forget this moment. Like, dude, so fun.
When
But
we had
yeah,
to
dude,
throw a very large offensive tackle into a taxi to keep from killing someone. Yeah, I remember that.
I think this is a really good question. But I'll say this. It depends on where you are. Like, most of the time, I think most people aren't going to say anything to you, right? Like, there's people that trash me all the time that I probably walk past all the time that never say anything to me. And it's fine. It's whatever. I don't really care. But the guys that do come up to you, it's normally late at night. You're in a bar. Someone's drunk. Someone's fucking doing something. Someone's like, oh, you're not so tough. And all of a sudden, like, I, for one, can never really handle that. I can never be the guy that's like, yeah, you're right. I'm the guy that's like, the fuck you just say to me? Like, I just don't know why I can never go with it. But that's when all my problems came up. Or, this is a funny story. I was at Ohio State, and we had just beat Michigan. And I was in the bar, and I could barely walk. And my mom was there with me. And I don't know why my mom was there, but she was hanging out with us. And this guy started making fun of Tressel's sweater vest. And I could not handle it. And he was like, the fact this guy wears a fucking sweater vest, what a loser. And before he could finish the sentence, I just knocked him out. And I was like, I don't give a shit. And all of a sudden, I look to my right, and they're the cops. And they're like, dude, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, he's making fun of my head coach. I don't give a fuck. Don't talk about my dude like this. So they end up calling Tress and telling him the whole story. They didn't do anything. But they were like, go home.
Tress is like, you
Dude,
defended me in my
Tress
sweater
came
vest?
in the next day. He was so mad at me because I used to get in so many fights because everyone made fun of his sweater vest, and I was like, "But that's my boy. Like, I can't ever let this go unchecked because if you do it once, then you think that we're not." And so I was like that, and that's why a lot of my fights. But looking back, that was a lot of immaturity. Like, I obviously should have just been like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Get the fuck out of my face." But like in the league, at times, people will really poke you. Like, they'll really come after you and say some things, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I dare you to put your fucking hand down right now." Put your hand down on the fucking ground. We'll see what the fuck this is. Like,
Let's meet in the A gap right now.
dude,
Cowboy Slims.
Dude, some of the hardest criticism I ever got, though, came from my teammates. Like, dude, there were times where they would say things and you'd be like, dude, shut the fuck up. And they'd be like, I'm just telling you, man, from a critical eye, like, this is how I see it. You look like shit. And you'd be like, say it again. I'm going to fucking fight you. You'd be like, not the time or the place. Like, dude, Leonard Davis, when I gave up a sack one time, was like, man, that's got to be the worst fucking sack I don't ever seen in my life. And I was like, Leonard, not the fucking time. And I'm like standing up to a 6'9", 360-pound dude. And I'm like, are we going to fight right now? But like, it's crazy because when you're out, somebody can say something so stupid and it just affects you. Like, it just never sat well with me when people talked about my teammates. Like, I just didn't like that. Or my friends. Like, I was like, dude, don't talk about them. Like, you can say whatever the fuck you want about me. I don't give a shit.
I love
Jay
it.
doesn't
Man. I'm
fight
just
a lot.
envisioning.
I don't fight.
Jay doesn't
I
fight.
was always the de-escalator because I always had the. I mean, Bo put it in my mind. I mean, and again, Boone, you played at Ohio State. I mean, playing at Nebraska, like we're the only thing that happens here. Right. And so Boone always put it, or not Boone, Coach Bo would always put it in our minds like, man, don't be the ticker across the bottom of the screen. Like that was always the like visual he said. Like you don't want to be Nebraska left tackle, gets in fight at bar, suspended multiple games. Like you don't want to be the ticker at the bottom of the screen. And I still take that, always de-escalate. I always tell my clients that too. I mean, those guys have nothing going on for them. Right, like they're gonna get their 15 minutes of fame, but it can derail your entire career. It puts your family, like you're always wearing your family name, like your parents that helped you get up through all this stuff. Like, don't do it. And so I've always been the de-escalator. Like that's always been my realm. The only time I ever got close to getting in a fight is when someone said something to my wife at a bar one time about how shitty I was, and I was like, listen, don't ever. I got in his face and like I put him up against the wall and I was like, listen, you can say whatever you want to me, but you ever talk to my wife like that again, you'll be eaten through a straw the rest of your life. Like that's the closest I ever came because like that's a line that should never be crossed.
No. Was that the year I think was that the game I think it was? Okay.
Yeah.
I was there. I remember that.
That was
I think
and
he's
my
mad.
wife's
Is he
screaming. My
mad?
wife's screaming at me, don't do it, don't stop, it's fine, don't
Was
do
this
it.
at like an Applebee's or what kind of an
It
establishment?
was
are we
definitely at
talking
an
about?
It was
Applebee's.
definitely at an Applebee's, maybe a TGI Fridays.
Culver's gets
Yeah.
very.
I will say this. Nothing beats when someone thinks they're going to say something really slick and you hit them back with the, what the fuck did you say? And they're like, oh, shit. I think because we're so big, they don't expect us to say shit like that. And we're just quick to be like, the fuck you just say to me?
You want to die?
Boy.
Be like that.
Boy, Hickory 77 must have
We
omitted
need
or
to interview
forgotten the
this
question
guy.
about what happens with when Macadac gets into confrontations in public, but maybe we can do that another time. I'm
Goes
a
into his
ninja.
shell and says, I'm
I'm
sorry.
oh, God, no.
Turtles.
sorry, I'm sorry.
Gets on his back and turtles.
I love Kirk Cousins. I love him. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I wear
All right.
Kohl's all the time.
Those are is that plaid?
Goals cash.
Those are your dumb football questions. Keep sending them in via the YouTube comment section on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. If you listen in audio form, Apple and Spotify, give us a 5-star rating and a positive review. And thank you guys for helping us get to 23,000 YouTube subscribers. Some film breakdowns. I'll take your guys' suggestions via text message. Let me know what you want to break down this week, and we'll throw it up on the channel. A lot of spicy games to break
Good
down
to
via
be
film.
back.
A lot of games.
Absolutely. Let's break some film down tomorrow. See you, boys.
All right, boys. There we go.